whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today, but if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on do our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace. What's going on, family? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It is another exciting edition of Random Topic Thursdays, the hottest live stream in the cosmos of social media. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Make sure you all are smashing up the likes. Smash up the likes. Smash up the likes right now. Get them up, get them up, get up. Get it up. Come on. Subscribe, subscribe, subscribe. Hit that like, share, subscribe button, and also hit that notification bell. We're talking about a lot of things right now. We got a lot of things going on. Come on, come on, come on. We got 8 people. I know we got more now. I am starting it a little bit late. I had a function I was going to earlier tonight. I didn't get a chance to settle in, which I needed to because your boy has been running. I've literally been running all week, just back and forth to work, nonstop, just working hard, trying to get things going. Make sure we smash up the likes. Come on, y'all. Let's hit that notification bell. We're going to get this thing started right now. Make sure also, guys, y'all are subscribed to Rumble. Go to the Rumble channel right now and go to Random Topics. That's the channel. Make sure you're subscribed to that. Come on over to Rumble because we're trying to move everything away right now from ScrewTube with the stuff they're doing. I know I have a lot of subscribers who are on here, so that's why I keep doing the YouTube channel until we shift more followers over there. That's my primary reason for doing this. But we're gonna go ahead. Let's talk about of course, we have our main thing with Diddy going on, but there's a lot happening in the world today. As y'all know, we're about 40 days from the election, and already I just learned today, this came out, they had that hurricane Helene out in Florida, but they're saying FEMA doesn't even have enough money to respond to the hurricanes, and a lot of it they say has to do with the migrant spending. That's what the GOP is pointing out that they're stating, according to Newsweek. According to this, they state that Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas said Wednesday that there is not enough money available for the needs. I'm going to something different. I know we're going to talk about Diddy and some other stuff in a second, but did y'all hear this? That FEMA, now I talk about FEMA a lot in my book on Katrina and the role that they played and what Homeland Security, oddly enough, a Federal Emergency Management Association is being put under the umbrella of Homeland Security. And so Hurricane Helene, which we now estimate, they say it's killed more than 160 people. I've heard estimates of that being high. I think I've read somewhere it was 200 people that perished in that devastating hurricane. But the funding shortfall has come under scrutiny at a time when at least 640 million in FEMA funding is being spent on assisting communities across the country dealing with an influx of migrants. This is Newsweek. Republicans called out this spending after Secretary Mayorkas' remarks that FEMA was meeting the immediate needs with the money that we have, while adding that the agency did not have enough funding to make it through another hurricane season. Governor Abbott from Texas said this is easy. Mayorkas and FEMA immediately stopped spending money on illegal immigration resettlement and redirect those funds to areas hit by the hurricane. Put Americans first. An account linked to former President Donald Trump's campaign also posted that it was a scandal that the money was being spent on migrants rather than U.S. citizens. The Shelter and Services Program provides us SSP funding to non-federal agencies to spend on humanitarian services for non-U.S. citizens. For the 2024 fiscal year, which ended on Monday, $640 million was made available. The FEMA website says that funding is intended to support CBP, which is the U.S. Customs and Borders Protection, and the safe, orderly, and humane release of non-citizen migrants from short-term holding facilities. The money can be spent on a range of services, including shelter, food, transportation, acute medical care, clothing, and translation services. But budget for the past year was a significant increase from the 2023 fiscal year, when $363 million was allocated. Together, more than $1 billion has been spent on non-citizen services over the past 2 years. And we see why a lot of people are not rocking with the Biden-Harris administration. When we have an emergency situation like a Hurricane Helene, the money that is supposed to go to the hardest hit areas is being diverted to another net resource, to not even to another resource, but I would just say to another socio-political matter, because that's what's going on. Do y'all know that they're fast tracking the migrant applicants right now? They're fast tracking non-U.S. citizens to citizenship before the election year. Oh, that's happening. In the next 40 days, they're going to make sure they do that so they can get Kamala Harris elected as president. They're doing that on purpose. And the American people, I think a lot of American people are caught up on that and are aware of that. The stuff with the economy, it's making people, of course, disappointed and disgusted with the Biden administration. A lot of people would say, except if you're in that civil rights, that old 1960s, 70s mindset, a lot of people, especially a lot of black people, would say they're not really that impressed with the Biden administration. They're not. But a lot of them will vote for him at a heartbeat because I'm talking about older people. Well, I don't like Trump. Trump is too bad. He gonna set us back. They're gonna put us back in chains, y'all. That little bullshit. That scare tactic. So I look at that, and this reminds me a lot. That situation reminds me a lot of what happened when I was a teenager when Hurricane Katrina hit New Orleans, and the fundings for the levees, the fundings for FEMA, really the levees, all of that went to George W. Bush's war in Iraq because money was diverted from there to go to fund the war. You know, obviously, if you have no money, you can't. If we don't have any money, we don't go to war. If Congress had shut down could have shut down the Iraqi war before George W. Bush could. Congress declares war. Congress could say no more money, and that would end it. But that was not done. Why? Because Congress has the approval rating of a shoe size. That's why Congress's approval rating is 10 times worse is even far worse than the presidential and vice presidential ratings. Although, I mean, it's the American people have very little faith in Congress. And I think, and I know a lot of it has to do with the fact that most of the Congress persons get reelected. They stay into power longer than 4 or 6 years. Instead of being in there for 2 years and having term limits, they get reelected over and over again, and they can be in there for 30 years. Look at Jim Clyburn, look at Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, and you have a monopoly over the legislative process in Louisiana, in the world, in the country, excuse me. I'm just reading comments. I don't know about suspending the Constitution under Obama. Don't know about that. I can tell you they've tried to suspend the Constitution even before Barack Obama. They did that when they assassinated John F. Kennedy. If the presidency can be determined by bullets fired by assassins rather than by ballots cast by U.S. citizens, we are indeed in a new form of government, ladies and gentlemen. Know that. But anyway, I wanted to talk about that. But before I came in, y'all, we have some breaking news. We have some breaking news that I wanted to talk about. I learned today, or just a few moments ago, rather, that there was a verdict that was rendered earlier this Thursday in federal court against 3 former Memphis police officers in the murder, or I should say the death of Tyre Nichols. Now, the federal courts are a little bit different than state, because in federal court, murder is not a federal crime, it is a state crime. And as such, these officers were charged with basically violating Mr. Nichols's civil rights and causing either death or injury, as well as some witness tampering. And I'm going to actually play the video from ABC News that came on earlier today when a jury reached a verdict, and I'll go over the article. At least 3 officers have been convicted. So we're going to go ahead, play this video. Fair use, fair use.
Of individuals who all have guns on their waist yelling at you. You are doing as they're told, and it still isn't good enough for them.
So now, let me say this. If y'all remember, this happened back in January of last year. Tyre Nichols was driving, was pulled over by several police officers, coincidentally, and they did grab him forcibly out of his vehicle, where they tried to handcuff him. He felt they were doing extreme. They were going to the extreme with it, which a lot of people, I even thought they did. And subsequently, he ran back, tried to run to his mother's home, got close enough, however, and the officers that got there beat him. Frankly, they beat him to death. Now, we're going to finish playing a video, and this gentleman is explaining what happened in the case. So hold on.
And the tension coming through the videos, his nature was to run for fear for safety. And when you think about what he was running to his neighborhood to get closer to his mother. To hear him call out his mom's name was so chilling, because if you look at where they stopped him at in the traffic, it didn't seem to be people in that dark area. He was running to a neighborhood hoping that his family would be able to come out and see what was happening to put it into that. The way they beat Tyre Nichols as if he was not human is something, as visuals and a feeling that I still can't reconcile. This is a larger narrative and the dynamic of police and community relations and dynamics, in the sense of how much of an overhaul of the system is needed, particularly when you have these subdivisions of the police force that are for special operations. In this case, in the Memphis Police Department, it was the Scorpion units, who use aggressive tactics in order to go through narcotics. And what you hear is the bold-faced lie that these officers told to the Nichols family, as you heard on body cam, to begin to do this conspiracy of he must be on some type of drugs, when the autopsy came back and found no amount of drugs besides a limited amount of marijuana and alcohol in order to cover their tracks. So the fact that they lied to his parents, knowing they just beat him as if he wasn't human, still sticks out to me. This is a case of, this has never been about race, because you can see the visual, these officers were black. Those of us in the community who has been advocating.
Hold up. Let me just say this. What did Ice Cube say? Black cop showing off for the white cop. Why? Black cop showing off for the white cop. Ice Cube will swarm on any in a blue uniform. Yeah. Oh. So black cops, I've been stopped by a black cop before. I've told y'all my experience. That was not, and that has nothing to do with the fact that, well, they're black. That doesn't mean it's not racial. A lot of black cops show off. That's Spirit said he looks like. So no, that means nothing. Black cops can actually be even worse than white cops. I've had it happen. So I'm sorry, I'm texting back and forth because I'm promoting doing something.
Their advocacy in terms of how police deal with community isn't about race as it is about an abuse of power. And then when you really peel back the nuance of what is it like for Black police officers to exist in a community where there is the brotherhood of the blue, these individuals have to worry about their livelihood, their income, their retirement plans, and their pensions. So they need to go along with the program to ensure they're able to draw down their retirement and their pensions. This is about an abuse of power across the country that Black people have experienced with police officers for decades with no accountability. Justice was served today, but is it restorative justice to go back to the others who have lost their lives at the hands of police brutality that didn't get their day in court? This isn't going to bring back Tyrese Nichols to his family. But what I do hope is that we really begin to examine how we need to reimagine police dynamics, police training, requirements. You know, should these officers, besides go to police training school, should they get an equivalency of an associate degree? Are 4-year degrees required in order to teach more critical thinking and rational skills?
If you need education to teach you on how to be a decent human being, I don't think you need to be a police officer. If you got to actually have a degree to know, maybe I punched somebody too hard, I'm hitting somebody with a baton, I'm tasing somebody too much overtly with 15,000 volts or whatever. You need to know that. Okay. Sorry, y'all. Yeah, let me get back to this. Yeah, the black cops were worse than the white ones. Yeah. I'm saying he looked like Montel. Oh, he looks like the vice president's ex. Yeah, he does. I was gonna go with Marvin Hagler. But yeah, that's enough of that. So what happened with this, ladies and gentlemen? Let's get back to it. So they were convicted of less serious charges. Now, so this was a mixed, what we call a mixed verdict. A mixed verdict may be, and I've had this happen before. I had a not guilty out in St. Tammany, for instance, on a domestic violence charge, but my client was out convicted for driving without a license, and also he was convicted for flight from an officer because even though he beat the more serious charge of the DV, where he supposedly hit his girlfriend, which he didn't do. She admitted, and I got her on a witness stand to say that she made the whole thing up over Facebook. Him liking girls' pictures on Facebook or some shit. I'm like, damn, we wasted our time for this, for petty shit. Nevertheless, he got convicted on some other charges because he flew from the officer when he was told to stop. Now, what they had here and what they're saying is that the three officers from Memphis, they were convicted of lesser charges. So we read here, Tadarius Bean, Demetrius Haley, and Justin Smith were convicted of witness tampering. So a jury convicted the three police officers of witness tampering in the 2023 beating death of Tyree Nichols, but acquitted them of the most serious charges. The most serious charges would have been violation of civil rights in causing death. Now, Haley, Demetrius Haley, was convicted of violating his civil rights, Nichols' civil rights, on a lesser charge that caused bodily injury, but not death. However, Bean and Smith were acquitted of all civil rights charges. They were among 5 officers who were fired from the Memphis Police Department after the January 7th, 2023 incident. This sparked protests in Memphis and across the U.S. when footage of officers beating a young black man was made public. 2 of the other former officers, Emmett Martin and Desmond Mills Jr., pled guilty to depriving Nichols of his civil rights and testified for prosecutors in the federal case. So what happens is that Martin and Mills snitched. They turned, or I should say, they turned state's evidence in this case. So Haley, Bean, and Smith pled not guilty to the federal charges of excessive force, failure to intervene, and obstructing justice through witness tampering. The 5 former officers also have been charged with second-degree murder in state court, where they pled not guilty. So they're not out of the woods in state court as of yet. So as you know, it's 2 different jurisdictions, federal court and state court. And a trial date in state court, however, has not been set as of yet. The Memphis Police Department remains under investigation by the U.S. Justice Department, which is examining whether Memphis police systematically violated the Constitution or federal law and engaged in discriminatory policing. Y'all, if I could be the attorney in Tyree Nichols' case, I think we would have gone for the policy limit. I think they have Ben Crump, and I can't remember what the amount that they settled for, but I think it was I don't think it was $100 million case. No, I'm not saying the case wasn't worth $100 million, but I don't believe it was that amount. I think the settlement, okay, the lawsuit is still pending. It's going to go to trial in 2025. March 24th of 2025, and the family is suing for $550 million. I think Judge Joe Brown has stated they tried to settle for less than that. Yeah, but I remember our sister out in Kentucky who was killed. I can't remember who. Uh, Breonna Taylor. That's who. They settled, and I think they could have gotten more out of that case. So this was some breaking news. I certainly think that from the situation, it looks like, and everybody saw the video, I think it was more than just a traffic stop. It seemed like to me that the officers knew Tyree Nichols. There were rumors about that, of course, about someone, supposedly Tyree Nichols, is a rumor, was messing around with one of the officers' old ladies. That's a rumor. We don't know for a fact if that has been proven. As of yet, it hasn't gone to court yet. I've heard that. But I think definitely there's more than meets the eye. It didn't look like a normal traffic. It certainly wasn't a normal traffic stop. We know that much. Not for running a red light or speeding do they pull you out of a car and handcuff and try and taser you like that. The officers were overly aggressive with Tyree Nichols. And I hope just so I want to move on a little bit. Last one other thing I want to oh damn. Okay, there we go. All right. So before we get to our main topic, there is something else I want to talk about. As we all know, over the past, I want to say on Tuesday, we got the news that John Amos, father of Good Times, James Evans, star of Coming to America, as well as he starred in Die Hard 2, Roots as the adult Kunta Kinte, passed away. The cause of death was revealed as congestive heart disease, according to a death certificate that was released. However, John Amos's family, I don't know if anybody has seen it, it's been reported. His daughter, Shannon Amos, as well as his granddaughter, his goddaughter, his business manager, and his brothers and other family members have stated they knew nothing about his passing because John Amos passed away on August 21st of this year. His death was not announced until October 1st. And the family have spoken out and are blaming John's son, Casey Amos, for, they're not ruling out foul play. They haven't said that Casey, I haven't heard anything extreme as far as him being involved in his father's death. And I don't know that, and I don't want to say that. But they have claimed and been upset, obviously, at the fact that they were not even notified that their father, that their grandfather and loved one had passed away. Now, I have seen Casey Amos. I saw John Amos most recently. I want to say it was a year ago. He was a guest on Willie D's live show. Willie D has had both father and son, Casey Amos, on his program. And I believe, and I know for a fact, because it was reported back in when John Amos was living in Colorado in 2023, they were investigating his sister on allegations of elder abuse and so forth. Now it seems like the family is accusing him of doing that because there was no even an autopsy, it seems, on John Amos, is what they're saying. And they're not ruling out foul play. So I can't, certain videos they won't let me play due to copyright issues. I can play the audio, which I'll do from extra. So hold on.
And Mr. Amos, right back here.
First and foremost, our deepest condolences to all of you on the passing of John. How would you like him to be remembered?
John cared. I mean, he cared about everybody. He had a big heart. People loved him.
He was a great storyteller with a beautiful voice. You heard that voice? You absolutely knew it was John Amos.
Calls me Toby. My name Kunta Kinte.
I think one of my favorite stories is he tells me about being a little girl and watching me pick a daisy and feed it to a cow and how that was such a precious moment. He just loved creating those little moments, and I'm grateful for that.
Hey, Daddy, you ready?
And I knew for sure.
Oh, we got the music in there. So hold
on. I was loved.
Oh, Shannon shared this tender moment with her father in 2022 on social media.
How I'd love to dance with my father again.
But sadly and shockingly, she and many of those who love John only learned about his death 45 days after his passing. And they did not get a call, nor a text, an email. They heard it through media reports. With great sadness and some surprise, Hollywood says goodbye to John Amos. You found out with us, right, on Tuesday?
Yes, I found out with everyone else. And I'm a teacher, so in the moment I'm with my students, and it did not seem real. And I think I'm just devastated. I mean, I feel robbed of any chance that I had left to speak to him.
Shannon, when is the last time you saw your father?
I saw him in the hospital in June of 2023. I had to sneak into the hospital because my brother had assigned himself a new power of attorney. I got in, I saw him in the hallway, we had a brief conversation, and then I was escorted out by security.
That brother is the estranged Casey Amos, John's son. Shannon and the entire group here believe he manipulated his father, John, in order to control his money and benefits. Shannon also accused Casey of elder abuse. Her own father made the same accusation against her in this video, which was posted by Casey.
I had some ongoing issues with my daughter, who I feel has taken advantage of me.
Both siblings denied the claims, and the LAPD reportedly closed its investigation into Casey without charges. John himself insisted he was doing well. So what do you do in these last few, months, almost a year, that you're not seeing your father, you're not communicating with your father? Are you calling authorities, or you're asking the hospital to check on him? What are you doing, to enact your concern?
The challenge that we had is that my brother kept moving my father from hotel to hotel from various jurisdictions. And he would move so frequently and so fast that we were having a difficult time finding him. But we were able to identify the hotels from his TikTok posts on social media. And Amy was actually the last person to see him.
None of us were able to talk to him. His phones were turned off. Casey wouldn't take calls. There was no way to access him any other way.
When my son, Shaka, committed suicide, John was the first one there. He came across the country and he never left me.
Leslie, do you think any part of your brother?
Yeah. Rest in peace, John Amos, man. I hate seeing a family go through that. It's sad. And Mr. Amos was a well-loved guy, it seemed. He certainly was the prototype for Black fathers on television, the first one, and the one a lot of people point to as the real father, the real Black father on TV. And shout out to Esther Rolay, because Esther Rolay was the one who fought vehemently to have John Amos, to have a Black dad, really, not so much John Amos, but to have a Black father for that Evans family. They didn't want that. Norman Lear and the writers of Good Times, initially, they wanted Florida to be a single mother raising 3 kids. And she said, absolutely not. She wanted to show how strong a Black father could be on television and for a family. And she turned out being right, because when John Amos's character was killed off, Good Times was not the same. After those 3 years, they killed that family, essentially, when they killed that father, because he was the backbone of the Evans household. I'm getting hydrated. But rest in power, John Amos. Yeah. And Esther Rolay and Janae Dubois, those stars from Good Times. Johnny Brown, too. All right. Let's talk about it, guys. My main thing I want to talk about tonight is this Diddy thing. Fair use, by the way, for what you're going to see in a minute. Is this an elaborate money con? Now, as y'all know, I'm an author. I've written 2 books, and one to me so far the best book I've ever written has been The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby, which is available on Amazon Kindle. You guys go ahead and do that. Yeah, Ben. Oh, you said Ben Powers. Yeah, I know you talk about Keith. Yeah, I didn't like him because he got Thelma. He slapped Thelma in one episode. Remember that? Yeah, he wouldn't have slapped Thelma if James was around. James would have whipped that ass. He didn't care if he was a football player. Yeah. Now, and in the book, yeah, I remember she slapped him in the back. You're right. Now, in the book, if y'all read it, I cited Eddie Griffin's take. And you know, Eddie Griffin said this on Vlad TV. You know, I cited many things, especially about Dr. Cosby's situation and the number of accusers that were coming forward, with some stories that sounded that like there could have been some truth. I'll be real, but others not so much. And the fact when one started, all of these came out, and they seem to have been, or most of them were following that script. You know, you had at one point, you know, they said it was Hannibal Buress who started the joke. That's how everything escalated with Dr. Cosby. But in truthfulness, they started coming at Dr. Cosby even before that, because there were several articles that were coming out in 2014 about Dr. Cosby and why Fat Albert. I think they were trying to do a Fat Albert reboot, if I'm not mistaken, and that stopped. And also in that same year, when Bill Cosby turned 78 years old, many people may not remember this, but he was actually supposed to, and he did do, film a live comedy special for Netflix that was supposed to air on his 78th birthday. And that was directed by Robert Townsend. But because Janice Dickerson made some allegations against Cosby once they started interviewing some of these women, they pulled the special. Remember, Dr. Cosby was also supposed to do an NBC special. He was supposed to come back to NBC with another sitcom. I think this time he was going to be, I think it was Diane Carroll was going to play the wife, and he was going to play the husband, and they were going to be, you want to call it, I guess, a updated version of the Cosby Show or something different. He was going to play a grandfather, which is what he is. Bill Cosby is a grandfather now. And so, but Dr. Cosby, I stated, was a prototype for what was going to happen in a few years, because once Cosby happened, this was America's favorite father. This was the man, and I talked about John Amos earlier. John Amos was the first black TV father, but Bill Cosby was, I think, the first black father that went mainstream worldwide, because the Cosby Show is worth about $1.1 billion in syndication. I don't know if anybody knows that. So Bill Cosby, Marcy Carsey, and Tom Werner. Tom Werner owns the Boston Red Sox. From what I think, Marcy Carsey, I think they're husband and wife, if I'm not mistaken. But they own the Boston Red Sox, from what Andrew Wyatt told me. They practically get, Bill Cosby gets $300 million. They split it 3 ways, because he owns it, he created it, he owned it, and he co-owned it with Marcy Carsey and Tom Warner. You know, those guys, Carsey and Warner, were the ones that produced Roseanne as well. So you're talking about a you're talking about a man who's damn near a billionaire, a multi-millionaire. Let's say that Dr. Cosby 100 times over. Not to mention also, he tried back in the 90s to acquire, and it's documented, the National Broadcasting Company. And also he has Fat Albert, he had Little Bill, other ventures he did that made him a lot of money. And it seemed, especially now that he was in his elderly age, that he was now America's dad. Then they actually demolished that. They ruined all of that. By allegations, some of which had not been supported. A lot of these allegations that come forward, and Sinbad even pointed this out. Some ring and some don't. One lady said it was going on for 4 years. How many times do you have to have a drink to realize maybe I shouldn't be drinking some more? That's what Sinbad said. Now, how does that relate to P. Diddy? So let me rewind it back when I stated about Eddie Griffin, because Eddie Griffin was interviewed on Vlad, and I don't want to play Vlad's TV topic, but go back and look up Eddie Griffin on Vlad. He said out of his own mouth, there is a systematic effort to destroy and Eddie Griffin is an OG. I love Eddie Griffin. Every black male entertainer's image. And he laid out examples because, Eddie Griffin was friends with Bill Cosby. He was also friends with Michael Jackson. And Michael went through his own trials and tribulations. We know all about that. He acquires the Beatles and the Elvis and the Sony ATV catalog. Elvis was part of that Beatles catalog as well. People say the Beatles, but the Beatles. I got to do the accent. The Beatles. It was the Sony ATV catalog. He owned the ATV catalog. He bought that in the 80s and merged it with Sony subsequently in the 90s, where he got half of Sony music publishing as well. So Michael was getting a check for that. But when Michael acquired that ATV catalog, he started getting the Wacko Jacko allegations. Remember, they started calling him Wacko Jacko. He sleeps in a hyperbaric chamber. He wants to buy the Elephant Man's bones. All of that stuff make him look like he was nuts. And so Tom Warner, I said Tom Warner owned the Red Sox, but no, and I said that he was married to Marcy Carsey. I don't think they're married. Let me rephrase that. I think they are just producers, partners. They're partners, and Tom Warner is the CEO of the Boston Red Sox. He's the chairman. The Boston Red Sox and the Liverpool Football Club. He has an investment in Fenway Sports Group, which owns those two franchises. Okay. That's Eddie Griffin. And yeah, he made that remark. They had it in here where he said it was part of a conspiracy. I remember this. Now, that went viral. And he mentioned Kobe Bryant. And he mentioned Michael Jordan. And there's a host of other black stars. If you notice, every black star, athlete or celebrity, athlete or actor, somehow or another, they end up, on an unfortunate circumstance, something happens to them. Their image gets tarnished. They get an asterisk. We could go back to Sam Cooke. We keep it in the music industry. Sam Cooke supposedly is a grapist. I said grapist. And we know Sam Cooke wasn't even supposed to be at that Hacienda Motel. By all counts and purposes, I did and that was actually a very popular video I did on Sam Cooke and Otis Redding's death. I probably will do another one. The situation and how it happened was weird. Didn't make any sense for all intents and purposes. But Sam Cooke owned his own music publishing company. Otis Redding wants to buy, not only has his own music publishing company, but on top of that, he was going to team with James Brown, and they were going to have their own record label. Y'all ever heard the story of what happened with Irv Gotti, Suge Knight, Dame Dash, and I said Irv Gotti, Suge Knight, Dame Dash, Jay Prince? How they were supposed to have their own record label, and within a week, when after they got together, the feds came in and shut that stuff down. Now, we got P. Diddy. Now, I'm not saying, and let me be clear, I am dare not saying that P. Diddy is an angel. Everything in Hollywood stuff is weird. I don't doubt that. And you're going to hear, I'm going to play the video here. I don't doubt it's weird, but when I listen to some of these stories, I just have some questions. Like Cassie's story, when she came out, then all of this stuff started. He paid a settlement. I want to say he, but I believe it was his insurance company that paid the settlement. And things moved forward. So I'm going to go ahead, and you see now all of these people are coming forward. So I was listening to it, and of course we saw the video, what happened with Cassie. That was terrible. He was guilty of that. He was guilty of a domestic abuse. Absolutely. But now when we talk about the sexual, supposedly assaults of I don't want to say intimate nature because it's not being intimate, but accusing him of having these freak offs and other parties. And I think about that. What was the difference between P. Diddy and Hugh Hefner in the Playboy Mansion? They're coming out now. I was okay until I started seeing stuff about a New York Post 6-year-old who was a guest at Sean Diddy Combs' parties. Recounts open drugs and naked women. By the way, Ashton Kutcher is not being investigated, according to the report. Hold on. Give me 1 second, guys. I gotta pause this for a second. But they say a 6-year-old guest. Y'all just read that. Hold on. I gotta step away for a minute. All right, so I'm back. So that's footage supposedly from one of the all-white parties. This is out at Martha's. I think this is out at Martha's Vineyard. So that's Ashton Kutcher. All right. Now they got kids there. I see infants there. That's Diddy's kids. More than likely, that's Diddy's kids. That's the Diddler's kids. Now, of course.
Okay, let's get the mic right. Turn it down a little bit. Shout out to Ciroc Vodka. Taste it, you'll love it. Yeah. I think I made my point clear. So, the child welfare coming here in 30 minutes, that's on y'all. My kid is downstairs. 15 minutes, the kids have to go. Thank you very much. Cassie, thank you. It's a responsible parent. They call me Diddy.
Now he said 15 minutes. He said, y'all bet if it's, I'm a responsible parent. My kid's downstairs. 15 minutes. The kids got to go. So what happens is they have these parties. Yeah, and I don't doubt that's going on, but I'm trying to figure out, how does a 6-year-old, and let's be clear, when he says there's a naked kid, now I want to read the article. Let's read here. So look at how they phrase it. They named the kid whose name was Justin Lutovsky, who's now 30 years old, who found out when he was just 6 years old, a kid with well-connected parents. And he says they unknowingly attended. Now, how does someone unknowingly attend a party like that? Now, that's up in the Hamptons. That's very exclusive. I don't think they just let any freaking body up in there. Not with all of these celebrities. You got Jay-Z, Diddy, Ashton Kutcher, Leonardo DiCaprio. You got all of them there. Think about it. And you think they supposedly let just anybody go there? They let anybody walk in? No security? He says, now this is a 6-year-old. He says, I remember a lot of weed and a bunch of topless women in the pool and around the pool. Lutovsky told the Post, I actually wanted to get in. Anytime we went anywhere with the pool, I wanted to swim. At the time, Lutovsky admitted, I didn't know if he's saying tits were a good thing or a bad thing, but I hope to jump in. Now, that's Justin Lutovsky, I believe, in this picture. So he attended a party. So I'm just going off what the Post says. Let's say he was there. That's Lil Kim. That's Donna Karen. I have no idea who the hell that is. That's the women serving champagne. His mother, Maya Lutovsky, says, I did not give my son the opportunity to get in there. Lutovsky now she's a social media influencer, whatever the hell that means. Oh yeah, they got Garth Brooks too today. Garth Brooks got Me Too'd in a lawsuit by his hair and makeup artist. He got Me Too'd by his hairstylist. Yeah. And so they say Justin saw topless women at a Diddy party. Yeah, Tyson Beckford. Yeah, that's DiCaprio. That's now. I don't know if it's the same party we saw. And from the video, he set a child curfew at future parties. Now he says, quote, I did not remember seeing one other child. He says, I'm normally the type to want to go play with other kids. Well, if he was there, why wasn't he downstairs? Supposedly, like he says. And was he even there at the time all of this stuff happened at night? Because you notice in the video here, this is obviously by the fact there's no sunlight, it's dark, it's got to be in the late evening time, right? It's got to be in the evening time. So they say here, if a minor in attendance was a problem for Diddy, guests would never know it. Justin and Maya were there with the photographer David Allen, father to Justin and husband to Maya. Allen remembers buzzing around the hoedown, snagging pictures of celebrities, as was his job. So his father, okay, so his father was a photographer. His father was the photographer there. So that's why I guess he's there. Now, is that a crime? Moody says it's all actors in a play. Yeah, this is act. This is how I feel that, yeah, some of this is acting in the script. Now, speaking of actors, I mentioned how Cosby was going back to Dr. Cosby, which, by the way, going by the book, The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby on Amazon Kindle right now. I said he was the prototype for black people because remember O.J. Simpson, he was the prototype and poster child for domestic abuse battery, what happened in the 90s. And now Bill Cosby now became the prototype for this Me Too movement. So what I want to show everybody, what happened earlier, I want to say yesterday, there was an attorney by the name of Tony Buzbee. Tony Buzbee represented some women about 2 years ago that accused former Houston Texans quarterback Deshaun Watson of Me Too stuff. Let's just put it that way. To the point that Watson had to be traded. He ended up going to the Cleveland Browns. Now he hasn't. I wish I could screenshot this. I'm getting these bubbles. I just got a bubble like. So that means they're going to try and mess with the channel. Guys, can y'all start moderating the chat too? Don't put BS in here. Guys, stay on topic. I want to hear. We're not talking this Georgia. We're not talking this conspiracy stuff yet. Oh, stay on topic with Diddy. So, Buzbee represented these women, and now he's representing some claimants in the Diddy matter. Now, if you recalled last week when I talked about the fact that Gloria Allred was being involved now with the Diddy matter, y'all remember that? She's representing a woman. She filed a federal lawsuit in New York. Of course, she's based in Los Angeles, and the lawsuit was filed on behalf of Talia Graves. How many of y'all know Talia Graves? Hold on. I just noticed when I read the lawsuit, Talia Graves is a resident of Houston. She lives in Houston. She's from Houston, Harris County. I read it in a I saw it in a lawsuit. Now, what does that mean to me? What does Houston mean, or why would I be bothered with it? Well, it doesn't prove anything, but if you don't know Tony Buzbee, of course, is based in Houston. So it may be nothing. But I just think it's interesting. Now, could Buzbee and Gloria Allred be working together in these cases? Because now she's representing women in that lawsuit against Diddy, and now he's coming forward. He has these lawsuits where he's claiming he is representing over 120 people, male and female, who have claimed to have been assaulted by Diddy. So I want to play this video. I won't watch this press conference with you. It is 33 minutes. So I'm going to just play a little speed on it, fair use. We're going to go ahead and play this.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tony Buzbee. I'm a lawyer here in Houston. I'm licensed in Texas and in New York.
Now, he's got a hotline. Look at that. There's a hotline. So you've been touched by Diddy. Come forward. We got some money for you. Now, I'm not trying to knock my fellow lawyers in the profession. I don't know Mr. Buzbee personally. But I know he's with that Deshaun Watson case. So he's a part of my antennas, let's just say, have been raised. So hold on.
I'll introduce other members of our team as they speak. As many of you know, our law firm has been at the forefront of some of the most important litigation in the United States. We like the tough cases. We thrive in the complicated cases. We've handled over the last 25 years some very big and very important cases. I believe that this one may surpass them all. There are many facets to this. The conduct we will describe today occurred over more than 20 years. There are many people and many entities involved. And we're going to follow this evidence wherever it takes us. We will find the silent accomplices. We will expose the enablers who enable this conduct behind closed doors. We will pursue this matter, no matter who the evidence implicates. These brave victims who have stepped forward deserve nothing less. The biggest secret in the entertainment industry that really wasn't a secret at all has finally been revealed to the world. The wall of silence has now been broken. The team has had at this point more than 3,285 individuals contact us with people claiming to have been victimized by Sean Combs. After vetting, we now represent 120 individuals who intend to bring civil claims in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs, as well as claims against many other individuals and entities that we will name as defendants as we file these individual cases.
Okay. Stop right there. So he says they've spoken, the number I heard correctly, let me rewind a little bit. Did he say over he said over 3,285 individuals who've contacted us. And they're going after, he said the wall of silence has been broken. I have news for Mr. Buzbee. The wall of silence has been broken. I don't know where Mr. Buzbee has been, but we have known, people have known for years what goes on in Hollywood. There is something called the casting couch has been going on for decades. Cecil B. DeMille, since the silent film era, since the time of Judy Garland and Louis B. Mayer. There's a bunch of stuff that's been going on in Hollywood. We call it Hollywood for a reason. Corey Feldman, remember, he actually had a documentary that was going to air on pay-per-view about child abuse in Hollywood. And he actually, the pay-per-view somehow, when he actually was going to live stream it, if I'm not mistaken, it shut down mysteriously. Anybody remember that? That happened just about, I think about not even 3 years ago. Somehow or another, he was doing that and it shut down. And so Mr. Buzbee is saying, we're going to break the wall. We're breaking the wall of silence. 3,200. And he says they're going to go after enablers. But notice also, it's civil claims. Nothing about what? There is nothing. And I mean nothing. There's no criminal charges they have mentioned. It's only lawsuits that are being done. Lawsuits. Now, of course, as an attorney, I can't say I'm against filing lawsuits. That's how I make my money. We don't ever want to say you can't sue anybody. But if someone did something so dastardly, so here's why, just a lawsuit. Where are the criminal charges?
Even before the indictment of Sean Combs, we had received a small volume of calls and had screened a handful of cases. After the indictment of Sean Combs and the announcement that we were pursuing these claims, the floodgates opened. People who wouldn't otherwise, for a variety of reasons, are now stepping forward to make their voices heard and to pursue justice. But no, most of these people are scared. They fear backlash in their communities. They fear backlash in their own families. They are afraid of retaliation from the perpetrators and their associates. They are rightly afraid for their own personal safety. I expect that through this process, many powerful people will be exposed. Many dirty secrets will be revealed.
Hold up.
We know what we are potentially up against.
Y'all stop moderating the chat.
If you don't like when celebrities involved,
you don't like
people can be downright mean and nasty.
Get the hell out of here.
Shocked at the length fans will go, no matter the evidence, to the contrary, to defend celebrities they love. I mean, there's a reason for this word fans. They're fanatics. I've personally already been threatened multiple times on social media. When I agreed to pursue this, I expected as much. This isn't my first rodeo. But victims who step forward to have their voices heard should not be subjected to that kind of conduct. They should not be targeted. I want to say this, and I want to be clear about it. Although we are vetting each call as stringently as we can, I always start with a mindset that I believe victims. I believe victims because I understand the tremendous courage it takes to step forward. So if you're watching this, please hear me. If you're out there and you have been victimized, you are not alone. There is a great strength in numbers. You can seek redress. You can obtain justice. We can help you, and we will help you.
Okay.
That being said, as stated, we are vetting every call that we receive. We've had to turn away some. For each, we ask for corroboration. For each, we ask for the identity of witnesses. We also have collected pictures, videos, texts. We check venues. We check dates. We want to corroborate that the claims being made have legitimacy and merit.
Look, y'all not.
We have on staff now a former detective from the Major Offenders Unit of Houston Police Department who is helping us vet each claim.
Danielle.
We're using our common sense.
Look at this.
We're being stringent because, as I said, these are not easy cases. They're very tough. The process is hard, and in some cases, the process is very lengthy. These cases are hard to prove. Many times, it's a victim's word against the alleged perpetrator. Each of these victims will no doubt be publicly attacked by the alleged perpetrators, and in some cases, the general public.
You say there's never was a conspiracy. Who are you talking to? You talking with Muty, Hunter, or are you talking to me? I don't know what you mean. He's going to lead you astray by. If you don't like the channel, get the hell out. I don't know what you're talking about. Mods, y'all got to start doing a better job of screening people out while the chat's going. Knock it off.
Feckless and cowardly keyboard warriors love to attack. We know what we're up against. We did not enter this fray blindly. I wish it was my last such fray. I wish this type of behavior wasn't so pervasive, but it is what it is, so we will press on. As I said, our law firms have been retained by 120 individuals at this point to pursue cases in civil court against Sean Diddy Combs. You should know, in this group, it's evenly divided between males and females. There are 60 males and 60 females who have joined us to pursue these claims as plaintiffs in this group.
So they got men and women. Think about that are accusing Sean Combs of this, according to Tony Buzbee. Men and women.
Group, 62% identifies African American, 30% are white, the remainder Hispanic or Asian. The victims are from more than 25 states. The majority are from California, New York, Georgia, and Florida. I want to focus. of these victims. When we talk about the ages of the victims when the conduct occurred, it's shocking. Our youngest victim at the time of the occurrence was 9 years old. We have an individual who was 14 years old. We have one who was 15. 25 of the 120 individuals who are plaintiffs in these cases were minors at the time of the acts complained of. The time frame of the acts complained of is very wide. The conduct at issue spans from the years 1991 all the way till this year, 2024. If you wonder why there are so many alleged victims, that's your answer. We're talking about more than 25 years of this type of conduct. Now, although most of the victims who have stepped forward were victimized after 2015, this has been going on for a very long time. Now, when you think about the fact that some of this conduct occurred 25 years ago, and you wonder why would it take somebody so long to step forward, I want to remind you that many states in the United States have recognized that it's very difficult for a victim to step forward and to make these types of allegations when something very terrible has happened to them. I'll use New York, the state of New York as an example. The state of New York has specific statutes in place that revive claims that are even claims that would typically be not able to be brought, that revive such claims, and they can be brought even 25 to 30 years later. Because there's a recognition there in New York and California and other states that it's very difficult for a victim to come forward. And I would respectfully suggest the only reason many of these people are coming forward because they see other victims coming forward. And it gives them some comfort that, hey, I won't be the only one. And I expect more victims will come forward. You know, there's an old saying that says, a lie has great speed, but truth has endurance. The acts complained of in these cases that we're going to file occurred primarily in New York, either Manhattan or the Hamptons, or occurred in California, primarily in Los Angeles, or in Florida, primarily in Miami. Most of these events and incidents occurred at parties, typically after parties, or album release parties, New Year's Eve parties, 4th of July parties, something they call the puppy party, the all-white party, although several of these events occurred at auditions. Many times, especially young people wanting to break into the industry, were coerced into this type of conduct in the promise of being made a star, or in the promise of having Sean Combs listen to their tape, or even let them read for Sean Combs. You should know that.
That's called the casting couch, is what he's describing. But the question we have to ask and ask again, you mentioned New Year's Eve parties, all white parties, puppy parties, and so forth. So how many of these people were adults was the question. What are the names, who they are, where did they come from? If it happened in quote unquote, 25 states, you stated they all come from 25 states. You spoke to over 3,000 people. Where did it come? Where do they come from? How did they get in touch with you? How did they fly up there to meet Sean Combs if he was there? And such and such. So there are more facts. There are more questions as there are facts. These are more questions that I have. Okay. Muty and Don. All right. I'm getting tired of this. Y'all both need to stop. Stop, or both of you getting in timeout. We're talking about the chat. I don't want to hear this stuff about Semite and anti-Semite stuff right now. Knock it off. Stay on topic, guys. Come on. You say you're a Semite. I'm fed up. Yeah.
Some of this behavior occurred at well-known venues in New York City. Some of this behavior occurred at private residences of people that we all know. Some of this behavior occurred at hotels that we're all familiar with. You should know that more than 55% of the victims reported this conduct to either the authorities, that is the police, or to hospitals. We're in the process of collecting with our team assistants, medical records, reports that were made to the authorities. And I've already said that some of the individuals in this group did in fact talk to the FBI. You should know that several of the individuals, and when I say several, I mean many, who did in fact seek medical treatment were drug tested, and drugs were found in their system, weird drugs that you probably never heard of. One in particular that continues to pop up is a drug called xylazine or Trank, which based on our research is known as a horse tranquilizer.
Oh.
Now, there's been a lot of reports that we're filing a class action. This is not a class action. Class action is when one or two people file a case on behalf of a group of people. That's not this. These cases will be individual cases. Each case will live and die on its own merit. These cases will be filed individually, one plaintiff against whoever the defendants were involved in the case. Each case may be filed in one venue like California. Another case may be filed in New York. One case may sue just Sean Combs, but multiple other people. One case may sue a range of people. I would expect most, though, to be filed, as I said, in New York and Los Angeles. Now, I know this. Many of you came here thinking or hoping, or perhaps believing that I may start naming names. That day will come, but it won't be today. The day will come when we will name names other than Sean Combs, and there's a lot of names. It's a long list already. And of course, I already know who some of these individuals are, but because of the nature of this case, we're going to make damn sure that we're right before we do that. But the names that we're going to name, assuming that our investigators confirm and corroborate what we've been told, are names that will shock you. These are individual cases. There are indeed other perpetrators involved. They will be revealed when that particular individual case is ready to be filed. They already know who they are. And I'm talking here about not just the cowardly, but complicit bystanders. That is, those people that we know watched this behavior occur and did nothing. I'm talking about the people that participated.
What was the behavior?
Egged it on. They know who they are.
What happened? So he doesn't say that. But let's finish.
I call them the facilitators of foul play, willing participants in vile conduct. As we identify them, each will be part of this case as defendants. These defendants will not only include individuals, but will also include corporate entities who ultimately profited off of this culture and behavior. I'm looking at banks, pharmaceutical companies, hotels. We know that many of these individuals were paid cash. We know that many of these individuals involved, whether they were the ones being assaulted and abused, or they're witnessing other people being assaulted and abused and then paid and threatened and told to leave. Typically paid 10 grand in cash and told to leave. And then threatened as they were leaving. So in addition to Sean Combs,
given 10 grand in cash,
these cases we're going to file will include anyone, of course, who engaged in the assault or exploitation, anyone who participated in such in any way, anyone who encouraged or facilitated this conduct, anyone who was in the room and watched it happen, but made no effort to stop it.
That's right, Lamiko. Diddy is likely going to be the only one, because think about this for a second. He's not a prosecutor. Tony Buzbee is not a prosecutor. He's a lawsuit. He's an injury attorney. So he doesn't have authority to bring any charges against anybody. All they can do is sue. And even if they sue the other individuals, let's say there were other individuals that were involved in this alleged conduct, they're likely, and I don't know but let's be real. I know they're not going to have money like Sean Combs. Let's just be real. These are not billionaires like a Sean Combs. So when you sue Sean Combs, you're suing him, you're suing Bad Boy Records, you're suing the insurance company to get the money. That's where the majority of the money is. So Buzbee knows better. Buzbee knows this. But let's continue.
Any venue or venue owner who was aware of what was going on, but failed to stop it. Any individual or entity who knew about the conduct and benefited from it, but did nothing to report it or stop it. And any individual or entity who covered it up or helped cover it up. These people who know who they are should just come forward now. I would imagine, as we speak here, there are a myriad of people who are very nervous. You can't hide skeletons in the closet forever. I would expect there are many people out there right now who are desperately searching their memories as they delete their texts and data. Now, although these are, in fact, individual cases, there is a common theme, an MO, if you will. Typically, the victim is lured into a situation where he or she is given a drink. Typically, that drink, reported by these victims, is apparently laced with something. Once that drink takes effect, the perpetrators perform all kinds of sexual acts on the victims, many times passing him or her around as other people watch and enjoy the show, and then leave the victim ashamed, confused, injured, and wondering what happened. When the victim reaches out, he or she is told not to say anything. Sometimes there are threats of physical violence or financial repercussions or bodily harm. The claims we intend to bring will include the following: violent sexual assault or rape, sexual abuse, facilitated sex with a controlled substance, false imprisonment, compelling prostitution, sexual misconduct, dissemination of video recordings, false imprisonment, sexual abuse of minors. Given the large volume of cases and given our other docket obligations, and given the fact that we want to be sure when we file these cases that they are fully vetted. I expect we'll start filing these cases against Sean Combs and other perpetrators within the next 30 days. Now, it's rare, sexual abuse, sexual exploitation, this type of activity is pervasive in our society, and it's rare we get a chance where we can really focus on this as a country and really focus on this about how pervasive this is and what we can, as collectively can do about it. So I thought I'd take this opportunity before I go into some of the individual cases and talk about some of the individual claims being made and so you'll get a sense of what this 120 people group looks like individually. I want to bring forward Carrie Paul. She's a national victim advocate who helps victims who have been victimized by this type of conduct. And she has some important words, and I hope you'll pay close attention. I think it's important that you hear from her.
Now, hold up, guys. Let me just say this. I haven't watched this video except playing it with you all for the first time here. So he's bringing up a victim's rights advocate who's going to make some remarks. So this is what I've seen. This is something I have seen typically with people like Gloria Allred, the storyline when they'll have somebody or someone speak and a victim there or a victim's rights groups there standing there saying they're going to do such and such. Now, look, again, it's not about me defending Sean Combs, but what is going on in our country right now is what we should really be asking. What's happening with our Constitution? The statute of limitations, does that mean anything? Does the right to due process, does the right to innocence until proven guilty mean anything in America anymore? That is what we should be asking. That is the serious question. Of course, we also want to make sure that people are protected, that children are protected, that women are protected. We can't have a place where there are predators preying on them. Absolutely, I agree with that.
I'm Carrie Paul, the National Victim Advocate. It's not easy for any survivor to come forward. Our culture doesn't believe survivors.
No, our country believes in the presumption of innocence. Our country is innocent until proven guilty. And when someone makes an allegation of criminal behavior, with all due respect, ma'am, they have a right to be cross-examined and confronted. And their credibility and fairness can be called into question. That's the law. It's not about attacking a victim, but they do that and say this to get emotional. It's an emotional thing.
Instead of showing support, many choose to enable abusers. The media runs stories asking why it took so long for survivors to come forward, instead of asking what barriers exist. We also don't equip law enforcement with the ability to handle sexual assault crimes. Lack of funding translates to lack of training. We have officers in the field that don't know what to say to a rape victim, and also an alarming amount of backlogged, untested rape kits. Prosecutors are focused on what they can prove in a case, and if so, how to do that at time of trial. Advocates and staff are stretched thin with growing caseloads in the criminal justice system. Most people don't know how the criminal justice works in general. There isn't enough staff or resources to adequately explain the entire process to every victim and survivor. Our culture works against victims and survivors every day, and abusers know this. Abusers work themselves into positions of power, building a public image that is trusted and financially large enough to make people look away.
Got right in front of her.
Abusers are unfortunately very skilled at power and control, the foundation of abuse. They seek victims who are vulnerable, such as children, their employees, and their intimate partners, all who see a different version than the public does, all who rely on the abuser in some way. And for those that do come forward and aren't believed, face questions like, are you sure it happened that way? Were you drinking? What were you wearing? All of this creates an environment that enables abusers to continue abusing them and future victims. To the survivors that have come forward, despite not being believed at some point in time, your courage is like nothing we have seen before. We thank you for coming forward for yourself and all survivors. And lastly, I want all survivors that are watching this to know we believe you and we support you. Thank you.
I wonder if she supports the Teen Vogue, if she's with that woman from Teen Vogue who a few years ago said it's okay for an accuser to lie. Accuse a lie about being touched or about being raped or abused as long as it moves the agenda forward. She actually said this, the Teen Vogue editor at the time. I don't know if she's still there. And just so you know that I'm not making this up, I'm going to go right here so you can see it. She said this on CNN. This was during the height of the Me Too movement. The Teen Vogue editor said it's all right to lie about sexual assault. She said this. She said this. I'm not making it up. Let's see if I can find it. Was it Vogue or Teen Vogue? I thought it was Teen Vogue. Either one. Hold on, let me rephrase it. Okay, looks like they've taken it down. I can't find it, but I distinctly. Okay, I can't find it, but I remember reading that. And so this woman comes out. I don't know who this woman is. Why did they bring her out? But this is obviously to help bolster Buzbee's case. So I'm going to finish. Hold on.
I want you now to hear from my co-counsel, Andrew Van Arsdale. We've created a sexual abuse hotline, and I want him to visit with us just a few moments about how that works and the kind of volume of calls we've received.
Thank you, Tony. Like Tony said, my name is Andrew Van Arsdale. I'm the managing partner of Baby Law Group. We have offices in California, Montana, and North Carolina. To build off of what you just so well said, it's very hard to come forward. And given what we've experienced the past 10 days is really unprecedented in my career, at least. We represent thousands of survivors of abuse. And never, ever in a 10-day period have we seen over 3,000 people come forward, or we've confirmed and decided to investigate and represent 120 people while we're continuing to work through another 100 plus cases to prove them up, to validate what had happened here, and to hold those that are responsible accountable. And so like Tony said, we set this up, 1-800-200-7474. I have a team of people standing by literally. If you know that this happened to someone and you have information about it, please contact us. If this happened to you, come forward. There's attorney-client privilege here. What you tell us is in confidence. Yes, we'll have to go out and build your case, but we will protect you. And the other thing that I want to say is the pattern and practice of this, again, is unprecedented. Over 30 plus years of the same sort of events happening, people thrust into the circle reportedly, and horrible things happening to them as a result. And from talking to these people who have come forward these past 10 days, I can tell you unequivocally that because the federal government did what it needed to do and it indicted this man, that they put him in jail and a judge kept him in jail. They tell me directly, this validates my feelings. For so long, I thought it was my fault. What is it about me that put myself in that scenario? What was I wearing at the time? What did I do to be subjected to such horrific treatment at these people that I was trying to trust? Well, we know now it was not your fault. You were victimized by a group of powerful people that operated for 30 plus years, taking advantage of their wealth and the power that they held within the music industry. So again, thank you to every single person that has come forward and contacted our office over the past 10 days. If you or someone you know suffered the same sort of treatment, please contact us at the number behind me and we will help you.
So that's the hotline. That's the hotline. So it's very similar. Look, this thing going on even with the Catholic Church, where they have these kids who have been assaulted by these priests and bishops. And some of the priests, of course, they have one in New Orleans that just happened recently. The priest admitted he did this. So I'm going to say he's guilty of it. But like I said, even with that stuff, a lot of it, they can't even verify. Some things can be verified. Some things not so much, because some of the priests are dead now. They can't be tried or convicted, obviously. And you go back, even if you try to go back 40, 50 years ago, let's say, who's to say it happened? There's no physical evidence of it. All the witnesses may or may not be dead. So all of this stuff happens, and they're coming out with these allegations with no proof. Now, you got to see a black lady, this lady here, I don't know who this is, but I'm pretty sure she's one of the either another attorney or an advocate. Let's see.
Thank you.
I think it speaks to how important this issue is in the United States and frankly internationally, that we have reputable people here that want to provide kind of information that I think victims need to hear, witnesses need to hear, the public needs to hear. Let me introduce to you now Olivia Rivers from the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault, and let her visit with you a few moments about these types of cases.
That was my guess.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Q Olivia Rivers. I am just served my 6th year as the board chair for the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault. I'm also the CEO for the Bridge Over Troubled Waters, which is a local rape crisis center here in the Houston area. So thank you for being here as we address these heinous crimes. Sexual assault is not just a crime of violence against the body. It's an assault on the very essence of human dignity and safety. It shatters lives, it destroys confidence, and all too often, it leaves survivors feeling like they are voiceless, isolated, and vulnerable. The reality for many survivors is that coming forward to report their assault is one of the most difficult and daunting tasks that they will ever have to do. And for some, it may take days, months, or even years to speak up if they ever do. The reasons for this have been mentioned, but include the fear of being disbelieved, being blamed or judged, and of course, retaliation. The trauma of the assault itself being compounded by the trauma of the criminal justice process, where survivors must relive their experience in order to seek justice. And these feelings and fears are further exacerbated when the allegations are against prominent figures in the entertainment industry or Hollywood. Cases involving powerful figures often attract significant media attention, which can deter victims from coming forward due to fear of public exposure or scrutiny. The intense focus on these high-profile cases can make survivors feel that their personal lives are being put under a microscope, causing further emotional distress. These allegations mentioned here today, as reported, reflect deeply troubling claims that deserve thorough investigation, and no individual, regardless of their stature, is above the law or public accountability. Sadly, the statistics paint a very disturbing picture. According to the National Sexual Violence Resource Center, 1 in 3 women and 1 in 6 men will experience some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. In the US alone, there are approximately 463,000 victims of rape or sexual assault every year, and these numbers barely scratch the surface, as sexual violence remains one of the most underreported crimes. But the numbers that follow tell an even more troubling story. Only about 23% of sexual assaults are reported to law enforcement. Of those, just 5% lead to an arrest, and even fewer, less than 1% of reported cases, ever result in a conviction, which is a devastating gap between the crime and the justice that survivors deserve. I want to briefly focus on our state here in Texas. According to the Texas Association Against Sexual Assault, 6.3 million Texans, men and women, will experience some form of violence. That's every 2 minutes someone is sexually assaulted.
All right. Now, look, I'm going to just stop it right there. I don't want to keep going over it. Obviously, you see what this is and see what's going on. Moody, can you... Stop with the Zionist stuff, please. I'll have you in timeout. Stop it off. Come on. What's going on, Frank? So what you see here, yeah, I just stopped it there. Now I want to play another video. I got another video I want to show y'all. This is the guy that was named in the lawsuit with Diddy that was filed by Gloria Allred. This is Joseph. This is Big Joe, Joseph Sherman. He's the bodyguard that she named was a part of her assault. This is what Talia Graves alleged. So he speaks. And I want to play a part of his video so y'all can hear what he has to say. So this was interesting. So hold on. So this is Joseph Sherman. This is what he had to say about it. This is courtesy of NBC.
It's a lie on me. That's all I'm saying.
Big Joe Sherman wants you to look at his face and listen.
I don't know this lady from anywhere.
You've never met her.
Never in my life.
He's talking about this woman, Thalia Graves, who appeared at a highly promoted news conference last week with attorney Gloria Allred.
The trauma of the assault has taken a toll on my mental health.
The attorney for Graves announcing a federal lawsuit claiming that in 2001, the then 25-year-old was drugged and bound and viciously raped in the Manhattan headquarters of Bad Boy Entertainment by music mogul Sean Diddy Combs with his bodyguard and head of security Joe Sherman.
I'm not questioning her integrity. I'm questioning her claims against me. I wasn't the head of the security. You got the wrong man. I've never seen you. I've never did anything negative with you. I've never been in the same room with you. Not only wasn't I there, I wasn't even in New York.
Sherman says he did security for Bad Boy Records in the 90s, but wasn't working for the company in 2001.
It's me and Mariah Carey.
Sherman provided us with his personal album of photos with celebrity clients he says he's protected over the years.
Me and Beyonce.
He says he did see Diddy at industry parties after Sherman left the company, but there was no relationship. Big Joe maintains he is being set up by false accusations.
Her and whoever that she's in cahoots with was orchestrating a money grab, and she wanted me to be part of that money grab. It says it right in her texts. She wanted to get Diddy.
Sherman showed us texts from an Instagram account starting last November. He says his team has linked to Graves. We confirmed the connection. The first text asked if Sherman was a security guard for Puffy.
She confused me because she kept saying, "Are you Big Joe?" I said, "You're on my Instagram."
When she asked, "Are you Big Joe?" what did that mean to you?
That means that she don't know who I am.
The text asked him to call the number and goes on to say, "If you will be my witness against Diddy, then my attorneys will leave you out of any proceedings because we have statements that you physically showed over 8 people, videos of me and you to people in the studio." Sherman responded, "I don't know what the expletive you talking about. Know who the expletive you are." He was still named in the lawsuit. Was there any video?
Not only was there never a video, I never saw the woman. I'm nothing but a scapegoat for this BS. Because I wouldn't get Puffy and lie on Sean Combs.
We reached out to Allred asking about the texts and Sherman's denial that he was involved. Her email response, "The complaint speaks for itself. Our client looks forward to her day in court."
So she didn't elaborate. She just said the complaint speaks for itself. Our client looks forward to her day in court. And supposedly, now it didn't say who the person was by name, but he suspects it's her because supposedly these text messages he gets, she's telling him to cooperate with her, allegedly, and they'll leave you out of the lawsuit.
Joe, what did that mean to you?
That means that she don't know who I am.
The text asked him to call the number and goes on to say, if you will be my witness against Diddy, then my attorneys will leave you out of any proceedings because we have statements that you physically showed over 8 people, videos of me and you to people in the studio. Sherman responded, I don't know what the expletive you talking about. Know who the expletive you are. He was still named in the lawsuit. Was there any video?
Not only was there never a video, I never saw the woman. I'm nothing but a scapegoat for this BS. Because I wouldn't get puffy and lie on Sean Combs.
We reached out to Allred asking about the texts and Sherman's denial that he was involved. Her email response, the complaint speaks for itself. Our client looks forward to her day in court. Allred's lawsuit describes Sherman as being involved in a company that produces and distributes pornography.
I don't show nude women.
He says his media outlets publish urban rap magazines that often feature scantily clad women, arguing the photos are similar to ones he's posted on social media.
Am I wrong for having fun on my birthday? Yes, I did all that. I'm single. You could call me that. But I never disrespected or seen this woman in my life. Come on. It's a money grab because they told you it's a money grab. And she know that what she did to me destroyed my family, destroyed my livelihood. I can't get a job.
Sherman's legal team says they plan on filing a counterclaim in the near future that will likely include defamation. Combs's attorneys have not yet responded to the lawsuit. Sarah Wallace, News 4 New York.
Well, like I said before, anytime Gloria Allred is associated with anything, I pinch my nose. Anything associated with her, I call BS on. That it is. Well, look, what do you all think? Leave something in the chat. By the way, if you love me for my time, pay me for my time. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. Drop something in the Cash App, PayPal, or Zelle. You see the ticker at the bottom. Shout out to our new subscribers. But yeah, I think there's some truth, guys. They definitely are trying to get the bag on Diddy. Diddy is done commercially for his career. His career is over with. And he would not be even able to work again, I think, with all of the allegations, even if he, let's say for the sake of argument, he is acquitted. His children are ruined by this because now other people in Hollywood, you think they're going to want to work with someone with the last name Combs? People in the music industry, and it's not necessarily their fault. But they do that. They do things like this. Well, look, we've been on for about 1 hour, 45 minutes. I'm going to wrap this up. Yeah, please drop something in the Cash App, Zelle, or PayPal. Also, smash up the likes. And I'll see y'all in the next one, all right? Be one, be safe, and be blessed, ladies and gentlemen, all right? We're going to wrap this thing up. But anyway, guys, it's been a good broadcast tonight. Thank y'all. Peace out.